Yes.
All right, here we go. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's ZBA meeting of September 7th, 2023. If I could have everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to note the exits in the room, one behind us, the one that everybody came in to the right, and there's one all the way down the hallway if you need to leave in a hurry. All right. All right. A motion to open the meeting.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Need to make a motion to accept last month's minutes. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we accept last month's minutes. All right, on the agenda tonight,
That's the one to find.
we are going to read into the record. Actually, I'm going to have Linda read it because my glasses are left at home, and then I'll go on from there.
The ZBA has referred this application back to the zoning administrator for a determination of the applicability of Beekman Town Code Section 155-261C to the subject property. It is my determination that the property meets all code required setbacks and as applicant may now proceed with their building permit application.
At this point, I'd like to defer some of the information that's important to that case to the attorney, Craig Wallace.
You'll recall at the last meeting that the applicant was granted a few variances, and the application was left open for that particular determination by the zoning administrator. She made her determination that no further variances need to come before this board, so I'll submit a decision for you to sign off on.
Beautiful.
Okay, and
no
that will
further
end the
motion on that?
application. Nope, there will be further on that.
Very good. All right, so moving on to number 2 of last month's area variance for Quigley Pool House on Lindsay Lane, number 11 Lindsay Lane. We're going to make a motion to keep the public hearing open at the applicant's request because they weren't ready for tonight till 10/5 of next month's meeting. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we're moving on to tonight's application, which is going to be the Center of Youth Area Variance, Route 55, grid number 6759-00-652224, and that's a town center zoning. The applicant is seeking an area variance to the article of 155 attachment 2 schedule B of the town code, which requires a minimum front yard setback of 0 to 15 feet. The applicant has proposed 106 feet 3 inches and is requesting a variance for the remaining 91 feet 3 inches.
Mr. Chairman, by way of background, for the board's edification, there is actually a pending planning board application before that board for a site plan and special use permit. So the applicant wanted to come before this board for a simple area variance for the front yard setback, which you have before you. So it's a very simple request. You only have one variance to make a decision on tonight.
Beautiful. So Greg's saying typically where we go over a lot of stuff on the plans, a lot of this stuff is still before the planning board that they still have to see the Department of Health on, DOH, and the planning board's hoops. They're literally just before us while that's being tied up in decisions of whether or not they could get the front yard setback to have the building not be 15 feet on the road. So that's pretty much what we're going to be deciding on tonight, is that front yard setback. They meet all the other requirements. So we're going to ask the applicant's engineer or person to step up to the mic, give his name, and explain to us the application.
Absolutely. Brian Stacosa, Danes Stacosa Engineering, here for the applicant tonight for the Center of Youth. Craig gave a pretty good description of where we're at. Applicants here too. This application is before the planning board, and what we'd like to do is revitalize this site. If you're looking at the new dollar store, it's kind of a catty corner across the street. The site used to serve as a deli. It was 2,500 square foot slab on grade structure. Had a parking lot in the front, had an entrance off of Route 55, had a sign out front. It has a well out front, and then in the back it's grassed and has an existing septic system. But the building caught fire some time ago, and it's remained just a slab on grade, and it's been vacant for a long time. So the applicant had come along and she'd like to open up like a spa med center. There'll be a salt cave there. There'll be hair, nails, therapeutic activities on the first floor, and then on the second floor there'll be a one-bedroom or an apartment upstairs. So your footprint downstairs is about 2,500 square foot. We're not looking to increase the size of the building. We're just looking to kind of resurrect the building that was there. And with that, we'd have an apartment upstairs. Access to the apartment would be via exterior staircase. If you look at the site, as you come into the site, there's almost like, I think it was like an old refuse enclosure. We used to keep going straight ahead. So what we were thinking is maybe having the apartment parking in that spot kind of away from the retail portion of the building. But trying to keep disturbance to a minimum, trying to freshen the site with like lighting, landscaping, following town center code as it relates to architectural details, things like that. We'll be working through the planning board. But the intent is to follow every aspect of that code as it relates to the planning aspects of what the site will look like. So we were in front of the board for an initial discussion. It was received well. We made a formal application, again, received well with more detail. Based upon the positivity of that meeting, we switched back to your board to seek that relief. If you look at town center code, they want the building 0 to 15 feet. In order for us to kind of go through that motion, we would have to remove the existing parking lot. We'd have to finagle the front DOT entrance. We'd have to redo the septic. We'd have to probably relocate the well. So we're almost going in reverse. So the thought process was, let's try to maintain the infrastructure that we have. Let's freshen architectural components, lighting, landscaping, and just kind of work through that process to kind of revitalize the site. If you look at some of the buildings along Route 55, we have buildings that are up close, we have buildings that are further behind. So the code does kind of force that 0 to 15 foot setback threshold for buildings. I think that is more in line with like new construction as we kind of work. We're doing a project down the road, Dutchess Contracting, where we're actually starting to create the town center corridor, where we have secondary streets, and we have more of that building front concept going. With this parcel, I think it lends itself to reutilizing everything that's there. Let's just freshen it. By doing that approach, we lessen disturbance, we lessen impact on utilities and on permitting, and just focus on just basically beautifying the site. So again, that's why we're here tonight. We're here for that variance in the front. I think we're set back 106 feet with the current location of the slab, and I think we're seeking, I believe, a 91 and change front yard variance. That's very good.
Thank
While I
you.
have you at the podium, I don't know if you remember the applicant's 5 questions they had to ask. Do you have a copy of it right there with you?
Yep.
Can I get you to read the questions and your answers into the public record, and then we'll ask you some questions we have?
Yeah, we're got my phone here.
Here, I can give you this right here if you want.
Yeah, here.
Take it, yeah. You got it?
Yeah?
Thank you.
Do you need glasses for me too?
Just for a moment. So the question number 1, undesirable change, the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. Our response to that by granting the variance was there be no undesirable change in character of the neighborhood to the detriment of nearby properties because the construction being proposed is consistent with neighboring properties. Again, we talked about those buildings being set back at various points along Route 55. And again, I think the biggest part of this is we're reusing existing infrastructure, and we're keeping that disturbance limit to the lowest extent possible. So that was the intent of our answer to number 1. Do you want me to kind of read through all of them, or do you want to discuss?
Yep, hit all of them, get them into record for me, and then
Okay.
we'll ask you questions, some of them pertaining directly to those questions.
Absolutely. Can the desired result be achieved by some other means other than granting the variance? For us to try to achieve this without a variance would require a major disturbance. It would be a complete redesign of the site. It'd be new permitting, it'd be a new well, new septic. It'd be a substantial change to the site. And for that means utilizing existing infrastructure, we thought would be a minimal impact by granting the variance. Is the granting of the variance substantial? The variance request is not seen as substantial because the previous building was in the same location as the proposed building. We're not increasing dramatically in size. In fact, if there is the opportunity to reduce, we are. Again, we're taking existing landscaping that's older and it's met its term. We're replacing with new, refreshing. Same thing with lighting, lighting full cutoff. You're not going to have lights that gaze into our neighboring property. So we're going to be meeting current design standards. So we didn't see that as a substantial variance. Will the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighbors in the district? Again, going back to that same disturbance threshold, reusing existing septic, reusing existing well, reusing the existing commercial entrance on Route 55. Again, a lot of disturbance has already been performed. So from a construction standpoint, we're not going to have endless hours of site work, regrading, silt fencing, erosion, that kind of thing. We have an established site. Again, we're just going to be tweaking some of the internals to meet current code. So we didn't feel that was substantial. Is the hardship self-created? Again, we came into this application trying to reuse existing infrastructure on site. Is it self-created? The structure was existing before. The building was subject to a fire. At that time that the building was created, it met current code. Zoning changed over the course of time. So we don't feel that this variance will be, or this action is self-created.
All right. Does the board have questions concerning those five questions at this point, or anything
For
else?
the
on there?
variance itself? Yes, I just have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. Could you tell me a little bit about the parking spaces, both the location, how many, how will that?
Parking spaces, for the use that was previously there, it met the requirement. So it's like our proposal. It's basically just a restriping to make sure we meet current parking lot depth and width requirements. So if we look at the site plan,
It's like 13, 15?
15 spaces, we got 1 handicap. And with this site plan, this is not a typical site plan where you have like a heavy retail, Starbucks, and office retail. So deliveries to this site will be minimal. We do show a small unloading area here. The biggest thing you're probably going to have as far as deliveries to this site is probably a UPS or FedEx truck. Large order tractor trailer deliveries, they don't fit the model of the spa condition. So that's why we show that it's smart parking to be restriped and repurposed.
Okay. And I understand you want to use a slab, that makes perfect sense. Are you looking possibly in the future to add to the building? You already have a second floor, but toward the back or anything like that? There's no plans for it?
No, just keep the building where it's at, keep maintaining that
Okay.
footprint. We are sensitive to on-site septic, so we have our septic system in the back and we have components that are already
Okay.
installed. So even if we wanted to go further back into the property, the components themselves that are installed are going to limit us anyway. So what you see is what the ultimate intent is.
Okay. I'm good.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Absolutely.
the septic systems are in this, there already, is it gonna meet the future, usage? Because it's different type of, business.
Different type of business, different type of use, water use, consumption. So this site had a board health approval. It was based upon that retail component, that deli component, food service component. So as part of our health department approval process, we'll have to obtain a reaffirmation of that health department standard. So this site, before it gets final approval from the health department and from the town planning board, we'll have to go through those steps.
Okay, so you are going to, for the new business, look into more, approvals for the septic system?
Yep. So
requirements.
just to give you an idea of what we're probably looking at, we'll go in there, we'll look at the condition of the septic tank, if there's any modifications that have to be made to the tank, as far as baffling, things like that. We'll go through that process with the health department. We'll verify the size of the septic, and then with this application, we'd probably be ensuring that in case the primary area ever failed, that a replacement area would be designed to meet any issues with the existing septic.
I actually have a question. So you're only doing the one septic? You're not, so all the runoff or all the sinks in that bathroom and in the bathroom above all go to one septic? You're not putting like a gully tank for?
Gray water tank?
Yeah, or a laundry, because they're gonna have to do laundry. I have a gully tank.
We're gonna, the current standards on a commercial application as it relates to laundry waste or wash waste, they're still gonna consider that sewage.
Okay.
So everything's gonna have to go into that one.
So it's gotta
common
be a
tank.
fairly big tank, like 1,400.
Yeah, so the way this is probably gonna break down is there's a bedroom count. So there'll be a certain flow rate for upstairs. Right?
Yeah.
And then for each sink that we have, and each nail station that we have, there's the DEC. The DEC has recommendations, so that will be part of our analysis.
Okay, doke.
Everybody good on that part?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, because
Yeah,
there's a lot of water
absolutely.
going through.
Yeah, basically, most of the questions I would have on an application like this, I spoke with the town engineer today just to go over some of the concerns that you're still in front of the planning board for, and the Department of Health, all the same septic questions and stuff you guys had just asked, they're still going through with them. And God only knows the Department of Health could tie you up for a while anyhow. But as far as, I think they hit all the questions that we're looking for. So at this point, before we go into discussion about the granting or not granting, I'd like to make a motion to open it to public hearing, if I can get a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. If there's anybody from the public that'd like to speak on behalf of the project, sure, step right up to the mic, give me your name and address, and give me what you have.
Hi, Fred Morello. Just the variance that they're really looking for is really just the frontage?
Yes.
That's it?
Yep.
15-ish feet?
What's that?
15 feet?
15 feet is what the town center is currently zoned at. So the old zoning was considerably farther setback. And God, I should know, but town center zoning happened, let's say 12 to 15 years ago. And it was a grand plan to try to make more of a village on the green field. We'd have sidewalks down the side of the highway, and businesses would be right up close, and you could eat out under the, but at the time, nobody was really taking into consideration that the businesses that are currently there are already 50 plus feet off the road. And so to start putting one or two 15 feet on the road is an issue. And we've had this discussion many times over the years. The county has widened Route 55 from Route 9 to 22 a couple of times. When it came through LaGrange, it had to take eminent domain of businesses that were built right on the highway, take them down to widen the road. It's widened twice since then over the last 30 years. And the projection is someday they're going to keep coming right down 55 to 22. So there's a lot of concern if we allow business to build right on the road, the state's going to have to take them over when they go to widen it, because the only corridor between Route 9 and 22 is 55. And they've been doing it for the last, now, don't get me wrong, the state and the county don't move real fast. Those wheels pretty slow over years, but we're trying to think about where we can be proactive and not hurt businesses that put a lot of money in the future. And if it's applicable and we can help, like maybe in this case, because the previous business was already back off the road that far, we try to see if we can give them relief or not with those things in concern. But the other things that are concerning are the public's opinion too, and how it affects the neighbors and whatnot. So I don't know if I answered your question.
That's fine. Yep.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Okay? If I can get you to just sign the paper on the back table, is it? Yes. Yes. Just say who you were. So, thank you very much. Is there anybody else from the public? All right. I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Board discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
before you do that, I just wanted to point out for the record, got the affidavit of publication here from our
Yes,
ZBA
that-
secretary.
Yep.
And
all the receipts.
mailings.
Beautiful.
All right, so I wanted to make that part of the record. And, remind you this is a type 2 seeker action.
Yeah, when we get to the part where we close, whether we decide for or against, I'm going to have to let you walk me through that whole closing of it. All right?
You're fine.
All right, guys, so this is the part where we come to, can we give him relief, considering what we know on this application? What's your opinions on it? Personally, everybody knows we've been down that road with Dollar General as the most recent one. And
You can deny this when you do that.
yeah, but the realistic view on this one is there was already a building on that property. I want to say that cafe had to have been 25 years ago, right?
Was it a cafe?
Yeah.
Was it
remember?
deli?
was
I
Country
remember that.
Rock,
It was
right?
a country, it was a
Yeah,
country.
Country
little
Rock
Deli's,
Cafe.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's been vacant,
Gifts.
but everything's still in place for that long, that far off. And it was between then and now that the zoning changed to what is currently the TC zoning. And the town board is actually trying to put together a commission to look at the zoning in that area because we've had this application quite a few times. But for me personally, everybody knows I prefer the parking up front of businesses because of
Oh, I think
it
it's
just, yeah, it's in the light, it's seen from the highways.
Yep.
Not a whole lot of nefarious activities happen out in the public view, but behind the buildings, if parking is there, you tend to have more of that.
And it's also, most of the businesses along there are very
Are already-
irregular in setbacks,
Yeah.
so you can't just,
Yes.
force
say yay to one
people
and nay to
to go
Right.
up. So the variance, even though it's excessive
Yes,
to what it's, it's
Zoned
it's
for.
zoned for,
right,
you have to consider the neighborhood that it's in.
Absolutely.
And,
yep, I agree. Yes, yep. And considering that and the future with a 55 somewhere down the future, I mean,
Never know
it's
where
my
that's
opinion to grant it. And
I agree.
Linda?
I agree.
Stella?
Absolutely,
Maria?
yes.
yep, yes.
We'd like to make a motion to approve, council.
Okay, so make the motion to accept the variance as
All right, which is,
applied for in the application.
all
The
right,
front setback.
let me just get that. It is 91.3, okay. I'd like to make a motion to accept, to approve the variance as applied for concerning a 91.3 front yard variance on the property. What is the lot number? Because that's what we're going with, right?
652224.
And the lot number is 6759-00-652224. I have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And this is a type 2 action?
Type 2 action, and your chairman, what's your vote, Mr. Chairman?
Oh, to accept and approve.
Okay, so
Yes.
the motion passes 4-0.
I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting at this time.
Okay,
Do we have a second?
second.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. We appreciate, yes, thank you.
That saves them a lot of time. You can keep them for the